Hi, I'm Anush,
Hi, I'm Harsh.
and this is GrownMenCrying. Okay, so for our second episode, what movie do you think we're talking about?
No idea.
In this movie, this is actually a revenge story about a son taking revenge on the murder attempt on his father. Can you guess the name?
Michael Corleone, The Godfather?
We're doing Animal.
Mother.
Yeah, so after that wonderful entrance,
Uh-huh.
let's start with the basics. So, who's the director, the cast? Okay, I'll take my notes.
Yeah,
Let's
sure,
make it okay. So, the director is Sandeep Reddy Vanga. He's already done Kabir Singh, Arjun Reddy. Playing the lead is Ranbir Kapoor as Ranvijay Singh, and we have his father,
Anil
played by
Kapoor.
Anil Kapoor. We have Geetanjali being the female interest, played by Rashmika.
The first one.
First one. Second female interest being played by Tripti Dimri. And and Bobby Deol is playing
Abrar
the villain.
Haq. And there is also one another villain in the film. Abrar Haq's brother.
Asrar.
Asrar.
Or
Yeah.
Aziz. Yeah.
Asrar.
Asrar.
He's being played by, I think the actor's name is Balbir. He's a...
No, Asrar Haq is actually a Tamil actor.
Is it so?
Yeah, I'm not
He's
sure.
a Tamil actor.
He's a Tamil actor. He played a lot of movies with Balachandar.
Seriously, but the
I'm not
guy
sure.
looks very like Punjabi.
He's a Tamil actor. The reason I'm saying that is because there's a movie in Tamil called Vaaname Illai.
Uh-huh.
He's one of the actors in that.
But everything about him screams like Punjabi, right? Because he
No,
fits
no.
the part very
No.
much.
He is very much a Tamil dude. I don't know his origins, but he's played a lot of Tamil movies. And I
Right.
think- yeah.
Who's the next?
So the music, I want to talk about the music. Is by Harshavardhan Rameshwar, and I really love the background
Yeah.
music. Yeah. So that was really good. And obviously we have Sonu Nigam, and we have a lot of
Sonu Nigam. There is Vishal. What is his name? Vishal Varma? Vishal Mishra. Vishal Mishra has sung probably the most famous song in the film. Pehle Bhi Main.
Oh, I really love this one. Yeah.
Vishal Mishra is actually getting a lot of popularity these days.
Ah,
I think
okay.
he sang a song in the last film also. There is a song which I really liked. It was in The Crew. It's called... I'm forgetting the name of the song. It's really nice. What was the name of the song that I forgot?
But moving on to the movie. So that's introducing the cast and the director and musician. We'll move on to the plot line. Okay, and the plot line is
Also the film is written by Sandeep Reddy Vanga, and he's also the editor.
He's also the editor. He's the director.
He's the director.
So he's done a good role on.
He's also one of the producers.
He's one of the producers.
Yes,
right?
he's his film banner, right? Jai Bhadrakali.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He runs it with his brother.
Yeah. I thought his brother was the producer.
It's shared.
Yeah. Wow. So he's a good storyteller. And let's get to the plot. So the plot of this movie is actually the troubled relationship between the lead character Ranvijay Singh and his father Balbir. And there's a lot of trauma that actually resurfaces when Ranvijay Singh returns after a murder attempt on Balbir.
Balbir, yes.
So that is the high level plot. And at this point, if you want to stop watching, because you can go to the end where we'll talk about what's great and what's not great and why you should watch the movie. So at this point, if you want to pause and probably move to the end, because there are going to be a lot of spoilers.
Obviously.
Yeah. Now we'll go ahead with the. I want to go scene by scene. I wanted to talk about it scene by scene. So we'll go scene by scene, and then we'll go to the central themes that we see in the movie. We'll go scene by scene. What do you say?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love the opening scene, by the way.
The opening scene, yeah, I love the opening scene too.
It's in black and white.
In the black and white scene, yeah. Like
they're celebrating like the 100th of Shakti Steel. Shakti Steel is, by the way, it's a
Swastik Steel.
Swastik Steel, yeah.
Swastik Steel.
Swastik Steel is basically a steel company which is I think established by Ranbir's character in the his grandfather, right?
No, Ranbir's grandfather.
And it's like they are celebrating, and the scene is pretty interesting. He tells about a story about a monkey and a princess.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that? I personally feel like the scene is totally dedicated to the critics because
so I think for me in that scene, so the story about the monkey and the princess is where the monkey comes and sort of teases the princess in a very vulgar way.
Yeah.
So he says, I can't do that, buddy. You have to do that for me. The monkey says, yeah. So basically, the monkey is saying choose right? Yeah. To the princess.
Yeah.
And what happens? The ministers are coming.
Yeah.
And then they're talking to the monkey.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? And he says, what are you doing? You're literally turning society upside down.
Upside
and
down.
he's saying you're mirroring society also.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're turning it upside down. Yeah. And then what happens? The minister comes and tries to do a sort of the play with the sword.
Mm-hmm.
He says, so minister gets a false sword and like an actual sword, throws the actual sword to the monkey, takes the false sword and then does and then he plays dead.
Yeah.
And the monkey takes the actual sword and this and then
that's actually pretty brilliant.
Yeah. So what I got from that scene was Sandeep Reddy Vanga is the monkey who's sort of holding a mirror to society.
Yes.
And then saying, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And the ministers or the critics saying, okay, hey, how can you do this?
Yeah.
It is this is a message to the critics.
Yeah.
Telling them, choose this is what I will make a movie on what I think is right.
Yeah.
You can do whatever.
And I think it should be allowed also.
It should be allowed. He should be allowed to make a movie on what he wants. But then at the same time, I will not say that critics should not have a word.
100%. Critics should have. But what I feel is critics, instead of the main thing about his problems with the critics is when he made Kabir Singh, right? So all of the critics talked about all the problematic things in the film, but they never talked about all the technical aspects, how the story was written, and actually how much risk actually Sandeep Reddy Vanga took.
He sold his land and everything.
He sold his land and everything.
Yeah.
It was a big deal for him.
So he's a dedicated visionary. Like he has a vision of something in his mind, and he's trying to get that on screen, and he's done that well.
He's not a stupid filmmaker. He has studied film in Australia.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He didn't know. I mean, but I thought he studied. He was a doctor.
He was sort of, but he has studied film, and I don't know when did he went to Australia, before doing his medical or after. But he has, because I've seen a lot of his interviews, because the guy is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How he talks, I think he has he shows how good of a storyteller he is.
Mm-hmm.
Even in interviews, if you see in Bharadwaj Rangan's interview with him, it's probably 2.5 hours. But you can listen to it. There are not probably a lot of film interviews about directing, telling about their films, which are more than 2 hours. Not even more than 2 hours. Even more than 1 hour, which are this interesting.
Oh wow!
It's very creative. There are things that I don't like about the director. There are things that I don't like about the film. But I have to say, the guy is brilliant. And especially, I think, more than the director and the writer, I think he's a very good editor.
I think he's an editor, but I think all of that is encompassing largely under a good storyteller. So I think you have good editing. I'll agree. He also has there's a lot of good cinematography throughout the movie, and we'll go scene by scene. Right? We'll get to that. We'll get to all the good scenes that you should watch. But now let's go. Okay, so we're seeing the first scene. This is for the critics. Then we cut through to when Ranbir as a child. And I think this is a J cut. Right? So the audio appears first, and I think quiet, and then we establish the premise of what is an animal. And the premise is something that Cassius is prey. I think that's what I derived from. Yeah. So it's a predator, then it looks out for its prey. And then, so immediately we establish that Ranbir, as a little boy, is willing to, take beatings from his teacher for his father. There is so much love for his father. And
he's very obsessed about his father.
He's obsessed about his father. That is true. And we can also see there's a beautiful letter, no, that written to his father.
Written to his father.
I really love that. He holds on to the letter so tight his hands become red. Though all of those details tells you how good of a storyteller Sandeep Reddy is.
Yes.
And then immediately when you read that line, and then it's very, very touching line.
Very touching, because it's very thoughtful. You don't really see these kind of lines in the other films, right? Because they're like, if it was some other filmmaker, or maybe it wasn't well written, it would have been just "I love you, Papa" and everything. But he creates a metaphor. He creates a genuine metaphor that in next life you become the son and I'll become the father, and I'll tell you what love is. Yeah, what love is.
And then love me in the next generation as my father, the way you love me, not like the way I love you.
Man,
that is so that
he hits so many strings.
Yeah. I mean, like especially for men, right? Every man has a very troubled relationship with their father. It's difficult to communicate. So he's hitting all of that. Yeah. So
relatable.
So that makes sense. And then so we as a young boy we established that there is a troubled relationship. Then we move on, I think, we don't go to the teenage years. I think that's sort of intermittent. I think there's a bit of cross-cutting there, parallel editing there. Now, next we move on to like his college years, when where actually the scene is Geetanjali's wedding, and Geetanjali is being played by Rashmika.
I really like the opening, like his entry scene. It's not like it's a mass film, right?
Yeah.
It's mass film, but the film is very different from other mass films.
Yeah.
If it was like a regular mass film, the entry would have been like Rashmika is probably like surrounded by other goons, and Ranbir suddenly appears and he thrashes all of them out.
Yeah.
But the film is not like that.
Yeah. So the scene is Geetanjali's engagement.
Can we talk about how cool Ranbir looks?
Okay, so the setting is Ranbir Kapoor. The first scene, right, when we see Ranbir, like a sort of a young 20s Ranbir,
young 20s guy.
Is him with his long hair, a leather jacket, and riding a motorcycle with some sunglasses.
That's a Vanga signature. Even Kabir Singh is also introduced like that.
Arjun Reddy had that.
Wow. It's a very dope scene.
No, I love the beats on that song. Like, I don't know how Sandeep Reddy got those beats.
I think it was also like composed by Harshvardhan Rameshwar, the first one.
Oh, really?
I think so. I'm not pretty sure.
But damn, I mean, Harshvardhan Rameshwar is a really talented musician, because the background music is just killer. It's killer. Now going back, that's how he comes, makes an entry. And then instead of doing the proposal, and I think you hit this conflict very obviously. So instead of saying that I missed you, it's so hard for me to see you get married, he says I'm an alpha male.
Yeah, you should get married.
You should marry to me.
That's why I know, and what I felt like the moment that I entered the theater, until that scene, I was actually like able to relate a lot of things, because the film was very grounded in reality. At that time, I felt like, okay, what is this happening? You can't just go to a girl like. I really want to like rephrase the scene, right? Let's say if the scene was made like this, like Geetanjali and him had like a really good relationship before he went to America, right? Before they had a thing and they were like very passionate about each other, and after like Geetanjali and both of them went to like each other's things in their life, and maybe they got into other relationships, life happened, but when they see each other, he asks her like, I really like you and I want to like, I can do anything for you. Are you willing to do the same? Like, look at that guy. He's only met you yesterday and you're not very sure about him. He's just a guy that has financial stability, but do you know he'll be, when the chips are down, will he be able to protect you or not? But I will, because I have done it all before also. If you added a scene in the previous, when the, some back ago, where he's like protecting Rashmika in his school, it would have made it really cool. It would have made sense to you. But instead of that, what happens in the film? He goes there and he gives her a lecture like, you don't call anyone else a bhaiya. Why do you call me a bhaiya? What? Is that your pitch?
That's terrible, no?
And then you like just talk to her, you give her a lecture about what alpha males are. Okay, fine, your alpha male theory, okay, if you like it, it's completely fine, but it's not completely like applicable in modern world, right? Even if you apply to the alpha male theory in the more modern world, The alpha males would be the nerds of the world today, because the people who are sitting on the top, the CEO of big companies, the like officers or politicians who are sitting on the top are probably very intelligent people. They are not very muscular, they are not very tough, right? They are the people on the social hierarchy on the top. So it doesn't make even sense that, and you just say to a girl that you have a really nice pelvis, you can accommodate healthy babies, and she'll get ready to go with you. That's
Yeah, it seems like a feminist dream to watch the movie.
I think
What
I feel is I think the guy has a lot of sense, but he has done a lot of scenes just to like offend people, just to offend people.
I don't know if this. So I feel very ambivalent throughout the movie, throughout many themes with the movie. I don't know if this is Sandeep Reddy Vanga's personal view. I don't know if this is, he thinks this character should have this personal view. So if it is rooted in his father, so father is very protective of his family also, I'm guessing. So he's there's a scene, right, where his father slaps him and he says, "You've taught me well, Papa."
You've taught me well, yeah.
Yeah. So all of that, right? So I thought maybe he's imbibing some of it. Maybe some of it he himself is taking from the world. But I think without father's validation, everything becomes difficult.
I think he is like a sort of his father only, because I think if it was a story like 50 years ago, if his father had faced the same situation, he would probably react the same. He would have done also the same things that Ranvijay's character does in the film.
So you're saying the Sandeep Reddy Vanga is 50 years back behind his time?
Maybe, because it's not just a story about two people; it's the story about families. I think the story is going to extend. That's why it's the second part is called Animal Park, right?
Yeah.
So there is a scene in the film where his
we'll get to that scene later.
Yeah.
So so now moving on. We'll move on with Ranvijay's character. We'll try to understand him more and more. So the next scene, right? So we see so Geetanjali breaks up the engagement, joins with Ranvijay. There is a scene, right? There is a fight with the Jija scene. I think you really like that scene.
I really love that scene.
Yeah, like, would you want to expand on that?
So the thing is, so this is just like the scene which you have in Godfather. The Godfather, the opening scene is basically the wedding, but in this film, the scene is about a birthday. Is father's 60th birthday. Exactly. So the thing about I would like to give the credit to Vanga's genius, that what he has created is, we have a lot of characters in the film, right? There is Jija's character, there is his mother's character, there is sister's character, there is Mishra uncle, and there are dynamics between them, right? How their relationships are. So instead of like creating different scenes for everyone, he created one 15 to 20 minute scene in which introduced everyone, all the characters. And
100%.
In the scene, basically there is no action, there is it's just conversations and the conflict which is going, and it is like a very important moment in Ranvijay's life and in the film also. I really like that scene.
He introduced his Jija's brother. Right. Sorry guys, we had a technical difficulty. We have only one camera and that battery fell dead.
So bear with us, yeah.
So please bear with us. Yeah. So we stopped at the Balbir Singh, Ranvijay Singh's father's 60th birthday.
60th birthday.
So okay, so and you were telling me how he introduces everybody and in a 30-minute, in a 12-minute frame. He introduces so many characters, the interaction between all of them, and all of that happens in like around 10 minutes.
Even though he's like, it shows you how concerned is about the family, right? Because you see, he has returned from America. He has been in America for all long, and he's been studying aeronautics, right? Aeronautics or space something, right? Even though he's there, he knows what's happening for the company, like what kind of deals they are making, if they are good for the company or not. Because there's a scene where he tells his Jija that you have made an entire South our enemies. And there's a story about monkey with a sword again. Monkey with a sword again.
But trying to kill a mosquito.
Yeah, mosquito. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting scene. The other thing what I liked is when he's having an argument with his Jija. He says like Jija, no, he's like protective of his sisters also. He does like grabs her chin and drops her to the side. But where he says like, oh, how can you do this? But he calls her sister and she says, if you speak next time, अगर next बार अगली बार बोली तो मुंह में केक घुसेड़ दूंगा. That's like a dynamic that we have in our families also. Like, let's say if I'm sitting with my sister, I can talk, hey, shut up, yaar. Like, if you did this, I would do this to you. But that is something we can tell to each other. But if the same thing somebody else tells to my sister, I will get absolutely angry. So you can know how much attention to detail this guy has.
That is true. But it's also like if you want to sit and see something like very peaceful, this is not a movie for you.
This is not a film.
So the conflict is there, but it's also what I feel is it's just driven by a lot of ego, right?
Yeah.
And so some people would say it's male ego.
It is male ego. It's a ego between like his father and himself.
Yeah.
They're
so
both.
I was actually getting around to the composition of the frame. So if you look at it, 60th birthday, they have a layered cake, right? Like a multi-story cake. And then on the top is the crown.
Yeah.
So what he did, right, for this shot, right, the cake is there, half of the cake, half of Jija, half of the cake on one side, and then there's Ranvijay. So that's a good way of saying that both of them want a slice of the crown.
Slice of the crown, yeah.
Yeah. But then in the end, so after that he has a fight. Again, it doesn't. He apologizes to his Jija. Still doesn't go well. His father slaps him. In the end, he tries to leave the country. No, he leaves the country. But before leaving the country, he introduced his father to his fiancée. That is Rashmika. And there's a beautiful frame, right? Big showcase. And then in the corner, like at the bottom corner, you have Ranvijay and you have...
it looks like a scene from some like school, right? They are waiting for principal.
Wow, that's a good... Because that is exactly what Sandeep Reddy Vanga is also talking about. Yeah. He said that in an interview with Bharatwaj Rangan. Yeah. He says that to show that they are really small people against the big, enormous character of his father.
Yeah, because his father is a big shot, right? He's probably one of the biggest. Like, you can compare it to him if in today's world, somewhat in the stature of Ratan Tata, because like, his steel firm, steel company.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense. So that stature, and then you sort of contrast that with Ranvijay. And then who's sort of looking for validation, looks so small. And then in the end, right, when he tries to introduce his fiancée to his father, kind of dismisses. And then he gives importance to his son-in-law. And then that sort of really pisses him.
But he has like still angry at him. He has like he's very stubborn. And he has his like ego and everything. Because even when he goes inside, he says like, मैं यहाँ पे रुकने के लिए नहीं आया हूँ पापा. I just want you to meet my... Yeah. And after they go to Kashmir and everything, I love that song, by the way.
Huame.
Yeah, that is a really nice song.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any music actually. The vocals actually drive that song.
Music is also good. I also like the music. But I don't really like the scene where it happens on the airstrip. Doesn't make sense. Like, I think Sandeep, right? I don't know, like, it could be because he wants us to like understand the character of Ranvijay because he's going to make multiple films about him. But still I don't understand like why did he has to say like very weird dialogues that you were in the bottom, I was in the top, let's do it on the airfield, do you want to experience gravity or not? It's just weird.
It is weird. I guess the scenes are a little bit over the top.
Yeah, a lot of scenes are a bit over the top actually.
Yeah, so the romance is a bit over the top.
But I don't know if it's true or not. I might be like offending a lot of people, but that's the general trope in Telugu cinema.
You have offended. I think like we're starting this with your reaction to Animal thing and this. Yeah, you definitely offended a lot.
That's like because in Telugu cinema, no, like I've seen a lot of every dialogue is like very over the top. Every dialogue is very saturated. And they don't have like a rhythm. Even if you listen to like Animal's dialogues, they are not very pleasing to the ears. Right? They are just straight in your face. That is one of the things that I would like about
the
Animal.
actions are like some of the sequences are very
Abrupt.
abrupt. So we cut to this flashback, and we see them in a flight and everything, and the way he cuts to the next scene, he does a match cut.
Yeah.
So they're both in that private jet, and somehow he's on low altitude. He needs to pull the flight back up,
Yeah.
and he's really stressing, and he's really feeling that. He's feeling that. Geetanjali is feeling that, and then they they're supposed to they hit they're about to hit a mountain. They really pull up. It's a lot of strain, and they go up. They see a sky. The next scene is when
one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, next scene is when Ranbir Kapoor arms
comes out of the car and
comes out of
lights
the
a cigarette. Man, that is a dope scene.
With full guns goes on to kill his Jija.
We have to talk about the scene where he's moving in the front, and all of his tabbar is what you called your group in Punjabi. His tabbar is following. That is a dope ass.
Yeah,
and even though that the plane is that's the metaphor of the story that the story is getting.
Yeah. That is true.
Story is going to pick from here.
Exactly. And he kills his Jija.
Yeah.
He goes into a conference, kills his Jija.
Oh, yeah.
And then what happens? He has his younger brother. They're all eating biryani.
Yeah. It's it's showing that how casual it was. Like
you're eating biryani, and they're talking about how the detergent is not comfortable for the underwear.
Yeah.
And then his brothers on this side is slowly we're doing dolly in, slowly moving up to Ranbir, and we hear this nice soundtrack, and then we have like a big banner on the behind him saying Animal. So almost like 10-20 minutes into the movie, we see that Ranbir Kapoor has become Animal.
Animal is a very, very different film. That is, even though, let's say if somebody likes, there is a quality in some films, right? It is there in both of Sandeep's films. Like, even if you started from anywhere, you'll watch it till the end.
So I didn't want to do Animal. The director didn't want to do Animal. You didn't want to do Animal.
But still.
But I think I sort of convinced everyone saying that it's a well-made movie.
It's a well-made film.
Even though you don't agree with it.
I actually, for me, the film works in parts. I like lot of scenes and I don't like lot of scenes. Especially the dialogues, I really dislike. Say there is a dialogue in the film that I've killed 100 people. मैंने इतने लोगों को मार दिया.
We'll get to the scene. We'll get to the scene. So we'll move scene by scene.
Yeah.
So we see that.
Yeah.
We see that banner Animal, and in the background.
Yeah.
Jija's brother gets shot.
Yeah. Before that, like when he reaches there, right? He could have killed his Jija just by shooting, right?
He chokes him.
He chokes.
What do you think is the
wants
significance of that?
He's angry on him, and the thing is, he hates him so much that he wants to strangle him. If he just shoots him, it wouldn't satisfy him. And even after that, when he's like, he is dead. The Jija is dead. He asks for his one of his brothers that give me the gun, and he shoots him twice.
Yeah, it's so animal anger.
Yeah, and even the brother says, "Mar gaya ye." He's already dead.
Yeah,
but he still is, and you have to look in this Ranveer's eyes. The rage that he has. He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah. He's done done good in this movie, right? I really liked his acting, and I actually liked the catharsis, but we'll also get to that.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on in the scene, so then we establish this, and then where do we land? His sister is worried, his Didi is worried. What happened to Varun? Is he dead? And then we slowly have a flashback that there's a murder attempt on his father, and only then Ranvijay's character actually comes in.
Yes,
and then so there are a lot of good small moments, and for the character playing the character playing his mother. Let me just get to my notes. Charu Shankar playing his mother. She has like very little screen time as his mother, but there are very subtle moments where there is conflict. Where is this? There's a lot of emotions going around. She'll pat him on the chest, and then she'll move on. So it's almost like 2 seconds you get to see that, but then you feel that impact also. So every time, so when he comes after a long time, he's back. First thing that she does, pats his chest. Goes to the children. She's out of frame. That's it. So that small warmth, that attention to detail, you really like Sandeep Reddy Vanga for that.
Yes.
Right? So he's back, and then he swears to, after an attempt on his father. Sorry again for the technical difficulties. We cut out. Now we'll get back to the scenes that we were talking about. What were we talking about?
I think we finished the birthday scene. After that, they go. I think Ranveer's character, he goes to America. But like interesting thing about that is like when he goes
he goes to America.
Yeah.
We have the scene with Jija. We have the plane going up, and did the camera cut?
We are actually he returns back from America, and then he goes into the hospital. Her mother, she puts her hand here.
So
that's
those,
where we were.
I was talking about those little scenes.
Yes. Interesting thing what I captured is like even when he goes into to see his father, there is a moment where his father is very emotional just by seeing him.
Exactly.
Right, and he says like that. The moment that I got shot, I just heard in the background, "Papa, watch out." I feel like because like even this has been said by Vanga in an interview. He said like that even you remember the scene. We haven't talked about a very important scene.
Which one is that?
Where he goes to the school.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. He takes a gun to this college.
Yes, college.
To a college.
It's a very dope scene. Like it tells you he's willing to go to any extent to protect his family members. Any con. And even when he's like home, when his father is like rapidly beating him, he doesn't have an ounce of regret.
And I think that's the worldview that his character is developed because of the fact that his father is absent.
He says like, who's the man of the family?
I am the man of the family. When you are not there, Papa.
You are not there, Papa.
Yeah.
But like, it could be a pseudo sense of like becoming a pseudo sense of masculinity, but that's how he has it. It's a pretty dope scene. Like he goes back to the car and he picks out a machine gun and starts.
I thought that scene was crazy in the sense that was just not like for me. I didn't relate to that scene, but I understood that this character we've already seen this character's instincts, these rage instincts to protect his father. Protect his family.
That is exactly what happens is when he is goes back to his father. So father, even though he hates his kid, like at that time he's very angry, but somewhere inside he knows that he's very protective. He can go to any lengths to protect. So that's why he says like, when I got shot, I felt like you saying, "Watch out, Papa," because he knows in his heart that if he was here in India, this probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah. And the time he returns, I think this everything changes. He swears to cut the throat of his father's enemy.
Yeah.
And this is also slightly taken from The Godfather. Also.
Yeah, it's Godfather. You have to see the like awkwardness between the father and the son. When he reaches to his father for the first time after he's getting shot, he says like he doesn't have anything to speak. What he says is like, why they have shaved your chest, Papa? I've never seen you without chest hair. Yeah. That's not like something that you would talk to your father about.
I also felt like that was breaking the wall because Anil Kapoor is known to be the hairiest man in Bollywood. Yeah. So I thought for me that was a scene where we were breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. After that scene where he goes outside and he calls Mr. Uncle and he says that like, we may have all the money in the world, we may have bodyguards, but these bodyguards can shoot for our father, but they cannot
take a bullet.
Yeah. That's like a very interesting thought or perspective, right? I don't think it's been this kind of thing has been explored in any film.
No, he's talking about loyalty, and he's saying loyalty does not come from armed men. It comes from only family. So that's the stance that movie is taking.
Yes.
So I think again, this is difficult for a lot of people to watch. I think
that is true. Yeah. And he goes to the Punjab and he talks to his brothers. Yeah. And that's actually a thing you see in a lot of North Indians, especially in Punjab. They have like a really solid brotherhood. One thing I really, really, really love about Vanga in this film is that he has shown Punjabis in a very badass light. Yeah, like Bollywood, no, we like Bollywood people did a very wrong thing. They in earlier films there was used to be a Punjabi person who used to be a comic relief always. There used to be Punjabi jokes, jokes on Sikhs. There was this one guy who was usually he wasn't very bright, right? That used to be the thing, but in this film he showed them into a completely different light.
Although I don't have complete picture about Bollywood, but so when I was really young, and when probably 10 years, you're 10 years old, I saw Rocket Singh.
Rocket Singh, yeah.
Rocket Singh is Ranbir Kapoor is playing
this amazing
Sardarji who actually who goes into marketing, who's a very honest person who's trying to sell computers, and you feel, and throughout the movie you feel his honesty, his trustworthiness. But then even though his grandfather, he prays and he says only the loyalty, only truth can always win. And then that sort of brings
the last badass representation of Sikhs I saw in Bollywood was Gadar, the first one.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, you have to see. It's a lovely scene. The Tara Singh he's like a mythical creature. He basically goes out. There's a very famous scene, and like all of Bollywood movie watchers know this, that when he goes to Pakistan to like get his wife, so he's surrounded by a lot of people. So to beat them, you know what he does? He pulls out the hand pump. It sounds very
because that's a scene from Basha. If you know Tamil movies,
could be.
So there's a water hand pump. He takes that's actually a pivotal scene because I've seen that movie lots of times.
Basha. Rajinikanth.
So what he does?
When did this film release?
90s, buddy.
Yeah, so Gadar was also 90s, like late 90s, 1980s, like 1998 or something.
Okay, we're diverging from the movie, so we'll get back to scenes.
Yeah.
So we're seeing Jija's killed. Then Jija's killed after Ranbir finds out that he is actually behind father's
how he
murder.
Finds out is very interesting. He creates like a clone,
body double. He creates a body double. And that body double gets killed by Asrar Haq, Abrar Haq's brother.
And he has traces. But I felt like the scene could have been done better because it's a very plain scene. There is no much interest in it. There was remember that there is a scene in Godfather there where he is talking to the person who actually is the mole. So just by conversation, just by like a very clever conversation, he gets out if he's the mole or not, because he feeds him false information, and when it comes out, so he knows that he's the guy. He could have done Vanga could have done something like that.
In the sense that's what he's doing. He's actually feeding him.
Yeah,
the body double.
But still, I personally didn't like the scene. Like I like the body double scene, but how he gets to know, it's just tracing phone. It's just too vanilla for the film which has like such plot points. And what's the next scene? I'm forgetting.
So okay, he finds that his Jija, and then immediately in the funeral he actually hugs his sister. All right, and then we move to and then I think we move to another scene where he's in his hotel.
He's in the hotel, yeah. Before that, there is a scene where he's talking about detergents and everything. But I don't know, like, what is this?
The significance is that he's not wearing underwear.
That is fine, but if you even see both Kabir Singh and Animal, they both have like weird references to pubic hair.
Interesting.
Yeah, see, even if you see Kabir Singh, the first film, there is a scene where Kabir is basically doing his thing, like he's smoking and everything. The song is going on. He's slumping into his self-destructive mode. And there is a scene where he's like feeling uncomfortable in what he's wearing. So he just like pulls his pants and starts shaving. Like he gets a cut. And there is a scene which goes from his face, focusing on face and getting into a wider shot. And you see like his white pajamas having a blood on it.
Near his groin?
Yeah, in his groin.
Shit, what? Dude.
Yeah.
I didn't have, I don't know. It's been a while since I saw it.
The thing is, I don't know if it's an Arjun Reddy or not. It's definitely in Kabir Singh. But the interesting part is, in Netflix, the Kabir Singh has an extended version.
Okay.
It has more scenes. A film is probably like 3.5 hours long.
Wow.
But still, the quality that Vanga has, he can make like really long films, but they are very interesting.
I think the way he narrates a story. Story is very interesting. Sometimes the characters are difficult. I mean, difficult to digest. All right. So moving on, we see this, and then we see a fight scene where he actually meets with an arms dealer named Freddy, and he gets a
machine, a kind of a machine gun,
kind of like a machine gun on steroid.
You can say a minigun on basically wheels.
Yeah, like it has multiple machine guns and like a big machine gun, and then it's on wheels. And
I think it's somewhat over exaggerated.
Yeah, and it says made in India.
And the whole Freddy scene, I think
I think it's meant to be a little bit of dark humor. And he gets the underwear. He puts the underwear with a tiger drawn on it.
I actually didn't like the the fight scene also, because
the fight scene was I wouldn't mind actually just fast forwarding through that,
because there was not really like a lot of stake on it. Fight scenes are very interesting where there's a lot of stake. Even if you see the raid, right? In the raid there is a lot on stake. That's why you find it very interesting. And one other like recent example is Kill. Kill, every scene is very, it catches you and it feels very important because there is something at stake. And the other guy the hero is also getting hurt. But in this,
the hero does get hurt, but then
in very end,
in the very end.
And it's like some scenes it doesn't make sense. Like even though he can shoot them with guns, he just goes between them and says "Manjot, maja nahi aa raha, men kuladi sut." It means like it's not fun. You just give me the kuladi, you give me the axe. Doesn't make sense. Like where he's fighting, those guys are like singing a song. It feels very weird. The song is pretty badass.
But it is also a war cry, which I heard. And in the end, he puts the gun to the enemy's mouth, shoots him in the head, and he says, "Mera naam hai
Ranvijay Singh." But the interesting thing is, the guy has written screenplay in such a manner. Until the interviewed, you don't even know what his name is, but you're still interested. It never comes into your mind what his name is.
Who? What? The
Ranbir's character's name.
No, we hear Vijay.
We don't hear. Not even once we hear his name. The only reference comes where there is a news scene going on. Right, when he's in the Shakti Steels and he's saying like, "मैं उसका गला काट के लेके आऊँगा." And he says like in the news, there is saying that this person, एक इंसान है, एक आदमी है जो खुद को बलबीर सिंह का बेटा कह रहा है. And he's like proclaiming these things. Until then, you don't even know what his name is. Neither does Rashmika tells you, neither his friends, neither his family. Nobody says.
That's interesting. I haven't paid attention to that. I thought his name was out earlier. Okay. So that's a very cinematic entrance, very heroic scene for him. He kills around 200 men with iron masks. And then we see his next scene is in the hospital. And then Geetanjali is wailing. And then we go to like a slightly wider shot where his friends are there close. She's wailing. Everybody is upset. So these are the scenes that...
if there was something at stake, right? Let's say if they have captured a sister or something happened to like... something is going to happen. Like if these people get out of the hotel, they would probably go and kill somebody else. There would have been much at stake. I would like it more. But after that, he gets like really injured, and the next scene is him basically being in the hospital. After that, he gets out of the hospital. There is a conversation between the doctors and him, which I think is also very weird. I remember the conversation.
I remember the conversation, and I remember it mostly because there are a lot of scenes where there's misogyny, and especially in that scene with the psychologist, right? So at this point, he's been shot, punctured near the heart, so he needs a heart transplant. He's also been shot in the bladder, so that means his bladder is not working, so they have to insert a catheter.
But still, like even though that is happening, one other problem is you don't feel that much at stake.
So you don't feel that is quite true. That you don't feel much for the character in the sense that he's the hero. But then you also are not feeling too much like very emotionally akin with the character.
That is a problem.
Yeah. So going back to that scene with the doctors, everybody's explaining the situation, And he's asking, what are you? You haven't spoken for a while. And she says, I'm the psychologist.
Yeah.
I'm here to do a psychological evaluation and help you get through this situation.
This is about your sex life. And he says, it's fine. Who does it? Like, it doesn't really
He
matter.
says, no, she asks, how many times do you have sex?
And she says, how many times do you have?
And everybody laughs it out. I mean, his cousins just laugh it out. And nobody says anything.
Yeah, he's
that
making
is the
this
most troubling part.
conversation in front of his family. Even the okay, it's understandable. The movie's name is Animal, literally. But still, even for a normal functioning person who's like living in society, it's hard to digest. Like this kind of conversation is going on. So that's a little over the top. And even if it's over the top, like this movie is, you don't feel for the character. Yeah.
But in some way, you also see that he's been a little glorified. His killing has been glorified.
Yeah.
This is a commercial movie. So, and this is not like we have to take a Martin Scorsese movie for reference. Like Wolf of Wall Street, you see that the excess, there is a lot of nudity, a lot of foul language, drugs, everything is shown in excess. But then you also don't feel the closeness of all of that because he's not a hero.
Yeah.
It's somewhat in a caricature. It's comic. It's comical. But here, cut back to this. He's a hero. So I feel very ambivalent throughout the movie. Like, what is the view that the director is taking? The movie itself is taking. And for me, very rarely is it actually taking a stance. And most of the time, it's playing along with whatever
is happening.
Yeah.
All of his actions are justified actually, which is the most weirdest thing that I find. Even the next scene where it happens is he's all grown, he's very fat, and he does a lot of weird things. Like the scene where he's with Geetanjali.
Oh no, I hate that scene actually.
I really hate that scene. It's very uncomfortable.
So there's a scene where there is Ranbir is on steroids. He's fat. He can't do anything. He can't hear. He can't taste, and he can't smell anything. So all his senses are down, right? So what happens is he's feeling very small next to his wife, and after his in-laws come and leave, he's feeling very insecure, and he's questioning, like, did they find a good Telugu boy for you? And then that's insecurity. That's coming out.
Insecurity, yes.
But when he sort of pulls on her bra straps and then hits her with it.
It's horrible.
I mean, it's hard for anybody to do reviewing, and it's hard for anybody. And the next scene, we understand, right? He's applying balm or cream or whatever on her back, and we understand that it is a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Where initially, right, his bravado, the time when he took a gun to the college, to protect his sister. She thought that was heroism.
Yeah, that was heroism.
Now she regrets it. She thinks this is a toxic relationship.
That's what happens to a lot of people, right? Who get into a relationships just because you think that guy is very badass. He'll protect you and everything. But after some time, it becomes something very different.
Yeah, it does. It does. In some sense, right? I like only in that small area where maybe Sandeep Reddy Vanga is saying, whatever he's doing, it has repercussions. But then there are also scenes where like his cousins are laughing along with whatever he's doing. And there's another scene where he jokes about slapping his wife.
Yeah.
He said he equates that with their first kiss and first sex.
Which is very weird. I think he puts something in an earbud in a ear and says this is the moon
from the black box, like the time they had their first sex.
It's very weird, and she also likes it.
That's I had a conversation with a female friend, and the first thing that I heard, which was enlightening to me, was that girls are not turned on by dick pics. So this was sort of like Ranbir Kapoor sending a dick pic to his wife.
Yeah, that is the thing.
Yeah. So this is how it goes on. So we see a fat and sort of deaf Ranbir who's feeling the weight of whatever is happening to him. He's sitting at the dining table, and there's an arch behind him, and the table is so shiny, it sort of reflects the arch, so it looks like a big zero. That's like, those frames, just for those frames, you
Yeah,
gotta yeah. So and then after a while, I think that's a violent scene where
There is this,
no,
yeah.
we have a scene with his staff, his maid, and
Not just that, before there is a scene, I think, which is like purely there to offend critics, where he's like having a argument with Rashmika's character, Gitanjali, where he says like, why are you making fuss of it? You change pads like
no,
4 days a day."
that comes after Abrar Hugh's introduction.
Yeah.
So I want to because the transition, is
Transition is beautiful.
beautiful. So we see like
Him smoking and everything,
he's
drinking.
so the context is Abrar Hugh is actually mute, and he's not mute by nature. He's mute because after a very traumatic psychological incident where his grandfather is doused in fire. He douses himself on fire. Himself fire. After that, Abrar Haq becomes mute. So that's his life's mission to sort of bring
Kill
down
Balbir Singh's family. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a very interesting scene. I really like the scene how it opens. Right, there is a background which is full of flowers, and he's dancing on this.
So we see Ranbir, and then we see and beard to beard matching.
Beard to beard matching. Yes.
Yeah.
I wish that they paid more attention to Bobby Deol's character. I really like this character, and it's showing like how brutal it is, because it is. Spoiler alert, there is going to be a sequel which is going to be called Animal Park. So the thing about Animal Park is, what happens is after that, Abrar Haq has a lot of cousins. And
No, his brother. Because he has many wives from, sons from many wives.
Many wives. They are all going to come to like fight in the next films. So it's going to be Animal Park, because there is not just Ranbir. There are a lot of people like Ranbir who are as crazy as him.
I know, I thought only one Aziz. No,
like not like Ranbir, but like his family members. You have seen Abrar Haq. You have seen Abrar Haq's brother. You have seen Ranbir. You have seen Aziz. So there is, it's much more possible. Like all of them are going to be like that, right?
Yeah, we don't know. So there is a lot of. So when we have Abrar Haq's introduction, we also see this beautiful. This Middle Eastern song.
Yeah.
Jama Jamalu. That was beautiful, no?
That's very nice.
And then after that, we have a violent scene where he hears about the death of his brother Asrar Haq,
and he kills him.
And he kills the messenger. Have you ever heard "Don't kill the messenger"? He actually does that. He kills the messenger, and immediately after he goes and has sex with his wife with his blood spattered face, and then he goes into a foursome with his other wives. He has so this is his third marriage, and he's getting into a foursome with his other wives, and then he goes on to kill the contractor who helped his brother Asrar.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is like supercharged testosterone for me to watch that scene. So the ambivalence is hard. So when you're in the movie, you're also going for like this emotional ride. So you're going for there is sex, there is violence. There's sex and there's more sex and more violence, and that's sort of the progression of what we see for this character, and mostly throughout the movie also. In the sense, the movie is got a lot of ups and downs, and it happens very one after the other. So moving on from there, we again go back to Ranbir. And then Ranbir has to deal with his wife, and he's trying to order more weapons. His wife gets angry, and then he makes a very wonderful, very feminist statement. Huh? He says, "This is a love marriage. That's why she's doing all of this." He says, "Marriage mein kuch pakad hona chahiye." No? yeah. Like
you should have some domination in the marriage.
There's a domination. Yeah. Like pakka misogyny, and he intimidates his wife also. He sort of pulls back his arm. She gets intimidated. He even asks, like, "What would you do? Don't think think like me, like a man." So that's literally inviting.
That is, I think, it's purely to like offend people.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult to watch all of that. It is very difficult to watch all of that.
But there is a silver lining in that scene.
Immediately, you're right. Immediately after that, we see. So his child catches both of them fighting. Right, and he says, no, this is just a drama, and I'm the director. Mommy is just tired because she doesn't have anything. She's just bored. So we're just playing out something, and then the boy says, "You're my hero, Papa." And he goes to his wife and they says, "No, call me a hero. Call me hero and make it believable."
This is what he always wanted, right?
So some sort of validation, being
validation.
Considered a hero from his father.
Yeah, from his father, but he didn't get it from his father, so he's getting from his son.
He's getting it from his sons, and the way he's seeking out this validation is by being outrageous like this. And I think that's what the director is trying to tell us. But it doesn't. I don't think it comes out clearly. It comes out with a lot of sitting back and thinking about the movie. So
I think if there was a scene, right, which also. So the next scene is him basically celebrating that he has gotten a heart transplant while being naked in front of his house, which is, I don't know how this guy comes up with these kind of scenes. He always surprises.
I don't know if that was necessary, but then it was showed because so we get cues, right, for visually or audio, right? So the cues that we are given is from the music, and Ashwathan Rameshwar, I'm sure under direction of Sandeep Reddy, has made it look like a very cool scene. There's a whistling sound and slowly comes and everybody's happy and they fire guns. It's like no, and then his father comes and gives him a towel and says, "This is not how you celebrate."
This is not how we celebrate. Yeah, it's very weird. Then Zoya comes, which is probably I think it's the most. How do you say it? Which is not the most
unnecessary
scene. Yeah. Unnecessary scene.
So we get to learn about the enemy's plans from Zoya, and Zoya is actually a mole, and we get to know that only later.
Later.
So
he gets into an affair with her.
But then we see a beautiful song playing, which is Pehle Bhi Main. So I really love that song.
But I have a very weird problem with this because once all his cousins come, right? So what they first thing is to do, they call a lot of prostitutes. Okay. Okay, so they call a lot of them, and Ranbir lectures all of them that why are you doing this? You are all married. Outside of marriage, you cannot all these things, right? If you are not able to control yourself, I'll also live separate from my wife. Right? But he is the same guy who does it. Anybody who is saying that he just wanted to sleep with Zoya to get out the information is bullshitting himself. Okay, he fell for her, and you can't blame. I mean, Tripti Dimri is very beautiful. You can blame 100%. Yeah.
No, but so the thing is, my trouble with all of this is that the song could have been different also, but then he makes it very romantic.
Yeah.
The sex, and then there's a shot of where Ranbir is actually lying down on Tripti. Tripti Dimri is practically naked. She's covering her breasts. It's a beautiful shot, but then it was not shot with Rashmika. It was shot with Tripti. The fact that when the director makes everything beautiful and everything heroic, then the audience gets confused. What is it? You should have shown an affair as this should have been dirty and nasty.
Yeah.
And sort of and then lustful rather than beautiful and romantic. That's not what you're expecting. And then Tripti Dimri also falls in love with him.
And there is a very weird scene. He gets out of the bed and he salutes. I was just very confused. What the fuck is happening? Why is he saluting? Who salutes?
I do not know. So so there is all of that. So he gets to know about. He gets to know about Tripti Dimri, Zoya's character being a mole for Abrar Haq, who has another brother, who's going to sort of have a surgery and look like Ranbir and kill Ranbir's family, Ranvijay's family.
That is a very devastating plan. If it was a devastating plan if it actually got successful. Imagine person who has the same face as Ranbir going in the family and killing everyone. That would have been brutal.
And then obviously after this we hear that Abrar Haq is actually one of
his family. And that is a very interesting thing. I think the film should have focused more on them. There is a scene where he says Abrar basically lost his voice because he saw that all of that happening. Instead of Zoya's scene, all the tangent that they went on, they should have focused more on that, showing that family side. All of the scene, like him getting out of the family, his grandfather, and then all of this happening, leading up to like a scene where he's putting himself on fire. I think that would have been brilliant.
I think, okay, so what we could have seen, right? We could have seen the brothers, we can see Ranvijay on one side, we can see Abrar Asrar on one side, and then slowly the, cut between both of them, and then slowly you build up, and then you have like a gangster movie. Sort of a gangster movie. If this was a full-on gangster movie, I would have loved it. Yeah, I would have loved it too.
If you just kept the woman out of the film, if you had...
Keep the misogyny out.
If you keep the unnecessary dialogues out, this would have been a banger of a film.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe he was trying to go for like a good masala combination. I don't know if it was, restriction from producers.
I think like Sandeep, he has like cracked a formula. The more criticism that your film has from critics, the more people will have eyes.
I think he's aiming like I don't know if Sandeep is aiming for shock value, but then it has a lot of shock value.
It has a lot of shock value. So the next scene is what?
Then he goes and confess to his wife that he's had an affair,
like, and then that's probably the best acting that I've seen of Rashmika also. Rashmika performs really well in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot of unnecessary dialogues. Like, what is this weird dialogue that I killed 100 people and you like basically forgave me, but you cannot forgive me for sleeping with one person.
So he confesses to his wife that he's slept with somebody, and then Rashmika slowly breaks that down. He's saying, so you cannot even tell me that you've had sex with someone. You just you're using this beautiful words like being physically intimate, or slept with her. So see the cold harshness. That's how I see it. I see it as cold and harsh, and you're not even telling me that.
Yeah,
and there's a huge fight that explodes.
Yeah.
And the fact that then she has so much resentment towards the father because he loves his father so much, and that has driven him to becoming the person he is now.
Yeah.
And then that makes sense for us as we're seeing this. But then the character gets angry, chokes her, takes a shotgun out
and tries to shoot her. And the weirdest thing is, his parents comes and he says like, it's okay papa, Mia Bibi ke beech mein jhagda hota rehta hai. Is this jhagda?
No, he says stupid fights something.
Stupid fights, like what?
Husband and wife stupid fights.
And even the weirder thing is that after that there is when they start, a song plays which is like Aadha Tera Aadha Mera.
Aadha Ishq Tera Aadha Ishq Mera. Oh shit, like what the hell?
Yeah.
Like this literally happens. He takes a gun, he shoots, then immediately rush towards the child, almost like very neutral in their demeanor, and they start calming their children down.
And this song starts playing, and after that song, when he ends, he is going to kill Abrar, like to the other country. He says to Rashmika, if I die, don't get married to somebody else. What?
I have no idea. But from every scene, like even in this fight scene, so like Sandeep Reddy Vanga, when there is actually a fight, there's a human interaction, he's able to identify the emotions in a scene, and he's sort of able to do that well. That comes out really well.
That is it.
So that we have to appreciate. So finally, obviously, we'll get to the climax. He goes, meets stops Abrar in an airport.
Before that, when he has to know like where Abrar is, he basically like points gun at his wife's. Even though one is pregnant, he shoots it in the ground.
Shoots it.
Shoots in the ground. That tells you a lot. Like he doesn't care if you're a woman, if you're a man, if you're coming in the way to protect his family, he will kill you.
Yeah, and sort of Sandeep Reddy sort of reinforcing that he's an animal in that sense.
An animal, yeah.
And then he tells his cousins also, आपके बाबी नहीं है, दुश्मन का बीवी है. Yeah, God.
हमारा बाबी नहीं है, दुश्मन का बीवी है. Yeah.
God. It's and then obviously the climax scene.
Before climax, actually, it's not like
it's not climax. I think it's falling action. Actually.
Yeah, and I actually felt that scene was very weird. Like he goes there and he tries to kill but the fight probably goes for like 2 hours, and in the end he says like, ये सुन नहीं सकता, ये बोल नहीं सकता.
God, yes.
You could have made like a really badass fight scene, right? If he had like gone into a building, you could have created a second badass scene in the film. But you chose to make a shot on a airfield.
Yeah, I guess some cinematic choices, artistic choices. So the artistic choices, I'll really not blame Sandeep Reddy on. But then there are a lot of scenes that he could have changed.
But especially could have changed the song at least.
Sara Duniya Jala Denge.
What? Why?
But I think it's the scene. So there's a point of inflection. Ranvijay gets hit over and over, and then he's reminded of what his father says when he gets shot. And then that gives him the strength. And then he beats the shit out of Abrar, and then he says, "You are also my brother." That's what I heard from my grandfather. But you promise me that you will not hurt my father, and I will leave you. We're brothers. And basically, Abrar, who cannot speak,
he says,
yeah, he opens his flyer and says this. And then he gets a dagger and he cuts off his throat. And that's, very, that was very intense and gross to watch. And there's this, and then after that, he goes and gives the dagger to his father. So I do not know the context, but is that like the dagger that Sikhs have in their turbans?
No,
it's not. That's a different dagger.
That's a very different thing.
Okay.
So he goes into like that. I have done this for you. All of this is for seeking validation. And even when he does that, he doesn't get like a validation from his father.
Obviously, he's disgusted. He doesn't want this violence. He tries to stop him many times. His grandfather tries to stop him. He just wants to do this. He's a broken character. At many points, we've reinforced that there's a lot of misogyny. Nobody questions. Sometimes the movie lets it pass. But all of that, you have to bear through all of that to have the best catharsis ever for the character. Yeah, because you sit there and you watch, and you must have seen this in the trailer. You see Ranbir's character just replaying something that happens in his childhood.
Because he says to his father, like, now we don't have time, and I've got this opportunity after 35 years, so you don't stop me.
Yeah, he says that.
He says that like, you remember, Papa, that there was Michael Jackson concert going on, and I wanted you to come with me, right? And it was your birthday, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
He says like, we are going to play it, and he says like, Papa, and he says, Sunai de raha hai, behra nahi hu main. And that scene is like bonkers, especially how it's cut in the trailer. I don't know who cut the trailer. Maybe it's Vanga himself, but the guy knows how to cut trailers. There's a banger of a trailer.
I think the trailer starts out with that. Yeah. So there is this. There is Ranbir's character talking about all the difficult things that he has to go through, and he literally hits himself over and over again, talking about how his father used to hit him. And at this point, his father Anil Kapoor, Balbir Singh, he actually sort of feels. He says, "Stop it, Vijay! Stop it! So you feel that heaviness in the air.
Because he's frustrated, right? Because he has done like he's killed so many people just to protect his father, and in the end he gets to know like his father has leukemia. He cannot survive otherwise. So in the whole film, you have not seen the person being helpless for even one point. You have not seen him cry. But just to the leading scene, when you've seen like there is a scene where he's hugging someone, and it looks like that he's hugging his father, but even in the end he doesn't have the guts to hug his father. He hugs Uncle Mishra and he says like, "Ab main kya karu, Mishra." In the whole film, even when he was about to die, his father was shot, there was a lot of danger, he knew what to do, but this time he doesn't know.
His father is going to die again. So in the end, we see that. So probably the post-climactic scene where all the little bits and pieces come together. Post-catharsis, we are seeing Ranvijay lose his father to leukemia. His
father is about to die.
Is about to die to leukemia. 6 months, and his wife also leaves him.
Yeah,
and it's a cold-hearted scene.
Very cold-hearted scene.
And you want it to be cold, and you wanted to feel the heaviness of the character. But in the end, post credits, we're seeing Papa Merijan being played.
Before that, see, Vanga I think has like a way of sacrificing the things that matters most to the protagonist. In Kabir Singh, he loses his medical license. He cannot do anything, right? He loses his right to become a doctor. For him, this is like he says that there is only the one thing that I'm very proud of in my life. And he loses that.
And here he's losing his
father. Even after doing this much, he loses his degree in Kabir Singh and he loses his father.
Yeah. So that's the only thing. So yeah, in Arjun Reddy, Kabir Singh, he's the lead character is a doctor, and he's losing the ability to practice. Now he's losing his father, who's the love of his life. He worships his father,
and he's going to die. He knows, even though he says that I have a lot of connections in America, aaj hi raat ko nikal jayenge, will do. But inside he knows that this is a gone case. That's why he goes to like feet of his father and he says that you don't have enough time now. So let me do this. I have to tell you what I feel. And after that, I think it's probably the most heartbreaking scene in the film. His father says that in the next life I'll become your son and you become my father. And you tell me how should I love you. And Ranbir says, Ab kya fayda, Papa? Now that you've understood, what's the point? And you feel so helpless. I mean, even though the guy is very problematic, he's misogynistic, he's a jerk. What do you feel for him?
That is the brokenness, the conflict, that internal conflict that he's going through. You feel all of that only in the end. So the character is not. We are not going into the mind of the character like we see in like a character study. This is trying to be a character study, but it's also it's going back into commercial bits. It's glorifying his actions, and then finally in catharsis we are seeing all these are the difficulties that he's gone through. So if we had seen the difficulties over and over, I think the catharsis would be more. And if we had the distance,
if we had more substance to understand, like. Right, if he had more justifications, if he had more context to why his actions are like that, that would be much fun.
It would be. Yeah. And you can take away the misogyny. You could be a broken person and not be such misogynistic person. Yeah. So he can be a man who loses
the misogyny. It doesn't like really add up to the film. It doesn't really add up to his character.
It doesn't. So I think he could have been a very violent person who loses his sense of control when something bad happens or in rage or whatever.
But he's good to his wife.
He can still be good to his wife.
Good to his children. Because this is what has happened to his life. In his life,
his kids and children literally leave him. So seeing how much of a broken man he is. So I mean, the movie could have taken so many turns, but it chose one particular storyline. So the story is hard for me to digest because this is not entirely a character study. This is not a great drama either. The characters are pretty flat. All the characters are just a shade of Ranvijay Singh. And even Ranvijay Singh just seems like a shade of Arjun Reddy or Kabir Singh. So, and characterization is pretty weak.
For me, I think I have to say this, Vanga is a fantastic filmmaker.
Yes.
That we have to agree.
We have to,
Right. But the problem is, he hasn't, like, the film for me it works in parts. There are a lot of scenes that I love, but the film doesn't really come together very well because there are a lot of unnecessary scenes, there are a lot of unnecessary dialogues. Whereas one of the scenes, I'll tell you right what happens is he confesses to his sister that he has killed his Jija, and he says that it's a shame that you should be shamed that you have shared your love with him. Doesn't make sense. She didn't even know. How would she know?
That scene is so confusing to me, and it's confusing to me because immediately he starts off by saying you're a strong, independent woman. You can marry someone else. You can be happy. I will search the man for you.
I have a lot of friends.
I have a lot of friends. You should be ashamed. Like there are so many emotions you're going through.
Every stupid dialogue, every stupid scene actually breaks the flow for me. Whenever I'm very interested in a very good scene, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen next. He leaves me at something like, what the fuck? Why did this happen? That's what the problem of a film is. If he had chopped 30 minutes of the film, it would have been a banger of a film. It was very successful. Most of the people liked the film.
I think this is a technically good film because he was
Technically
able
very
to
good
handle pacing also. Pacing was done well, except for the scenes where we are seeing it slows down only when we are seeing Ranvijay who's affected by the steroids. He's not able to do much,
Yeah.
and I think that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Makes sense. So he's able to handle pacing. All of that is the background score is actually quite brilliant. But however, a few songs are like subverted for the situation.
Yeah, they don't match.
Sara Duniya Jala Denge.
Yeah, and the other one like Aadha Ishq Aadha.
Yeah, that one
doesn't match.
And there was one more scene. Pehle Bhi Mein is also.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can say it's a little subverted. Maybe
But
not.
we can actually understand because Zoya at the end, Ranveer's character also falls in love with Zoya, right? And Zoya also falls in love with her.
Okay.
With him, yeah.
So, okay, maybe that's not there. But we feel somehow that all of his actions are, the movie glorifies it. So, it doesn't matter what Ranveer feels. So, like, are we in Ranveer's shoes? Are we seeing it through his eyes? No, it doesn't literally go there. So, are we actually, do we have distance from the movie? No. So, Ranvijay is still the hero. So we feel like we're part of Ranvijay's extended family, no? Like when we're seeing the movie. So when you're seeing with scenes with Ranvijay, so that is why it's difficult for me to say no, this is not a misogynistic movie. So it is hard for me to say the misogyny is just him, Ranvijay and his flawed character coming out. There are many ways. There could have been somebody in the group. They say, no, Ranvijay, whatever you're doing is wrong. That never happens. Cousins sometimes laugh.
There could be a transition into it, right? Like, let's say when he was a child, when he was a teenager, he was like pretty well. He wasn't that. He didn't have any violent. Like, he had violent tendencies, but he wasn't that misogynistic. Something flips in him. There could be a reason why he's doing that. But there is no reason shown in the film. It's just
like you said, if we had like parallel two families growing together and then finally coming to like a climactic, I think it would have been a banger.
If we had more context in his childhood also, like why is he like that? Because just saying that he had an absent father, that's why you should have shown more. You should have shown more about like what his relationship with his father is. It's somewhat showed what his relationship with his mother was also.
I know, but I think what we get from editing is the small pats.
Yeah.
The fact that she talks to Balbir Singh at multiple times saying that he needs your love.
Yeah.
So yeah. So is this movie? So if coming back to central themes, we've covered the fact that this movie has strong father-son issues. Is this movie misogynistic? I would have to say it is. It is the movie. You can have misogynistic scenes and still not be misogynistic.
Yeah.
So then next thing,
it's not a bad film.
It is a well-made film.
It's a well-made film,
and that's why we're gripped.
Yeah, we're gripped.
So those are all the things that are in there. Is there any other theme that I've missed out? There's also the alpha beta theory. Yeah, that in the sense, but it sort of goes against with the misogyny.
That's actually I think he has something like there is a similar theme in both of Reddy's films. There is also a scene like there's also the theory. This same theory applies in Kabir Singh. Kabir also thinks himself of as an alpha male.
Oh,
yeah. There is a scene in where he's like talking to Preeti. Like, it's not a talking, it's an argument where it's happening after his father has rejected him and he's asking him to go out of the house. And he says, this is what I deserve, Preeti. This is not what I deserve. And he goes out and it says like, forget what it is today. Let's say we are like 400-500 years ago. If he had said no, what would I have done? I would have waged a war against him and put him into shackles and I would have taken you. A similar theme is in here, right?
Similar theme, like I can see sort of the rage being justified. In Arjun Reddy, I saw a lot of rage being justified, but what I saw was that the rage was justified. And what I was expecting for Arjun Reddy's character was a point of redemption, a point of reflection. None of that happened, and it happens same with here also.
I think it happens.
I was not convinced. For me, I was not.
Maybe
convinced.
it wasn't convincing because they didn't show it that much. But I think there's an inflection point in the end where he loses his degree and his grandmother dies. Then he remembers. Then he gets like shaves off his beard and everything. Then he goes for a trip outside, and even if you see him at that time, he's very calm. Even if he meets Preeti after that time, he's not enforcing himself on her. He's being very polite. He is maintaining a distance. He's trying to like talk to her. When Preeti saying, "Don't touch me," he's not touching. But if it was the Kabir that was before that, he wouldn't have agreed to her. He would have forced, because just like how he forces himself in all that. And for him, redemption, the sacrifice that he gets is losing the thing that he loves the most other than Preeti, which is his
grandmother?
No, his doctor, like his degree, his profession.
I don't know. I don't think I don't think it was hard. I mean, I don't think it was. I felt that. I felt. I didn't feel that there was a reflection. I don't think it was enough.
For me, Kabir Singh was like, personally, I liked it more than Animal.
Alright, so let's moving on. So what we liked, now we'll go on to, I think we've talked too much in detail about the scenes, and our director Neetu Chandra is eyeing us. So we'll go on to what we like about the movie, and we'll like why you should watch the movie, and what you might not like. Quickly, Harsh.
The things that I liked about the film is the film is, first thing, it's technically very good. The second thing, it keeps you hooked. The film is very curious. There's a criticism that Scorsese has of Marvel films and like a lot of the mainstream films that we have today, right? In the beginning, you know what's going to happen in the end. But the very good quality about Animal is it slowly unfolds. In the starting, you get to see Ranbir's character, you get to see the dynamics. The conflict only comes after some time, and it keeps unfolding. You know about Abrar Haq and the main conflict in the film about the two families, not until the very end. So this is what I liked about the film. I like the editing, I like the pacing. What I didn't like about the film is, first thing, there are some very unnecessary scenes, very unnecessary themes, and the treatment of women, I actually didn't like it. Right? It could have been avoided. It doesn't really add up to the story. It doesn't really add up to the film. You should see this film for the technical prowess it is, for the scripting, writing, the thing it is.
The scripting, the writing it is, I don't know, not 100%.
For the scenes. Like, let's say the ending scene, the catharsis scene, the birthday scene, and a few other scenes. Right? For me, personally, two scenes which are really good is, one is the Jija scene, second is the birthday scene, the third is like the catharsis, and a few scenes in between. I really like them.
Alright. So who do you think we should watch this though? Is it for everybody?
Yeah, I think it's for everybody, not for people who can like handle gore and kind of follow these things.
And misogyny. Who cannot handle misogyny.
Who cannot handle misogyny. But yeah, I think it's a decent film. For me, it's a decent film. I actually liked his other works more. And I like Vanga as a director.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion?
So my opinion, like you said, the it's very good. Like the way he's a good storyteller. So I really love that. From the beginning till the end, the way he tells that story, the way he's actually able to understand how a fight works, right? What are the elements of that fight? What's going on in each scene? I like that. There are a lot of details he's done. So what I'm assuming is that Animal is actually a 6-hour movie that he's tried to compress it down, because there are so many details in there. And there is
Vanga should make a TV series.
Maybe. But so going back, so his shots, right? Maybe it's a cinematographer, or maybe it's also Vanga taking a call. We don't know when the creative input starts and when this is actually his director's call. But the lot of frames, which I really love.
Yeah.
Which are beautiful to watch. The music is nice. You are gripped to the movie when you're watching it. Does it leave a good taste in your mouth afterwards? No. Is it a misogynistic movie? I kind of felt like it was. Could have Vanga done a full-on gangster movie? I was hoping it would.
I want Vanga to make a full-on gangster film, and not with Pravas, please. Make a gangster film with Ranbir.
Yeah, I think this could have done well as a gangster movie, and for all of these, there are a lot of things these work. but then it is a very difficult watch. It was also difficult convincing you to do this. I was convincing the director our director Neetu to do this. So it took a lot of convincing because I saw that this was a well-made movie, but then the story I was not gripped by the story or the characters in the movie. This movie is for people who just like movie by itself, like cinema by itself, and not for people who are actually who get upset with gore, violence, misogyny. But the movie was a commercial movie, so it was a hit.
It was a very different kind of commercial film. Yeah. Okay. So that's the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you all for watching, and
see you in the next episode. See you in the next episode.
Don't come at me, all the feminists of the world.